Hello everyone, this is Kuroda giving you a shoutcast and a game between OGS Hero, who is also known as Liquid Hero, versus our artist for you here on Shakuras Plateau. I'm not 100% sure where this game comes from, but it was highly recommended to me. And normally when players say, oh, you have to cast this game, I go, you know what? I really don't have to, because it's normally like games where like, hey, I'm a platinum player and I played against this and it was a 75-minute battle of nukes. I'm like, I don't have the energy to cast a 75-minute game full of nukes and battle cruisers, where I'm sure there is eventually a lot of downtime. But this game, two very, very famous players, Liquid Hero versus Artist for you, and we'll see what's going to be happening here on Shakuras Plateau, as both of these players probably very, very familiar with each other, very familiar with the particular build orders, as we'll see what these players try to go for. Now, Shakuras Plateau, obviously you guys know you can only do a cross spawn or a top spawn here, as Blizzard did force cross spawns here. You can't spawn directly north or south of your opponent. Artist for you, building up a closer to home supply depot, most likely will be building a barracks here. And then he may or may not decide to wall off a little bit later. Meanwhile, back over here, you can see a chrono-boosted economic build coming in from Hero, which makes a lot of sense. Shakuras Plateau, very, very easy to defend at your main base and your natural expansion. Your main base having a very narrow choke point, and then at your natural expansion having a narrow choke point that is also a high ground advantage as well. I expect this game to have a little bit more macro play as this game does get underway, but Hero opting to go for a very early Nexus. And as long as I believe Artist for you, the Terran player, if he doesn't do any double racks build early on, he is not going to really be able to punish his opponent for this almost greedy economic build. Now, both players starting to do their scouting. We can see that the gateway's finally coming underway. OGS Hero most likely will be going for that assimilator now, just getting that Nexus first out of everything. And then he's going to be perhaps trying to chrono boost out some zealots as well. Meanwhile, back over here, we are adding a reactor. So it is going to be a lot of Marines. So a lot of Marines now down over here. And we'll see what the Marines are going to be able to do. An SCV now perhaps going to try to build another barracks in just a moment. Yes, and he is going for a double barracks build. And this may be able to punish Hero's economic build. We'll see what's going to be happening, as we do have a scouting supply depot over here. A rather strange position. The Marine now getting some damage onto the probe. The probe down to 6 hit points, and it does get destroyed. Taking a look from Hero's perspective, he does see the double barracks. I'm not 100% sure if he actually clicked the second barracks or not to know that it was a double barracks. He may be expecting perhaps, I would say, a factory for some Hellions. As this SCV now comes in, Hero is going to have another gateway, have that Cybernetics core as well. A Zealot now being chrono boosted out, making sure that this SCV is denied scouting. Very, very important. Very important to deny scouting from your opponent. If your opponent can freely scout, he knows how to counter your build exactly, and you can't really do anything in secret unless you try to hide your builds a little bit more. And SCV now going to take a lot of damage here. It does get taken down. There it goes as a double gateway. And now training up a stalker as well. There are 3 Marines in the center portion of the map, and the probe does see those 3 Marines just sitting there, as SCVs and Marines are now moving out. So this is going to become a very, very almost all-in attempt build from Artist for you. Now, only one SCV on gas. However, the probe is going to spot this all. We are going to have a stalker and a zealot. The cybernetics core, the chrono boost, is not yet nearly done. One stalker, a second stalker now being added as well, as the SCVs are trying to go after that stalker. The stalker SCVs are already absorbing a lot of damage there. Are the SCVs going to, yes, come up the ramp? And there you go. The Marines are trying to come in as well, as we are getting a bunker. Not quite sure why the Marines are backing off. Artist for you a little bit sloppy with this play. The stalkers could just get up onto that high ground, and he needs to really engage with those Marines. He's just sacrificing SCVs at this time, and he's not really dealing any damage. He had those SCVs. The longer he waits, Hero is just going to be able to defend this attack, as the stalkers are pushing back. And yes, the stalkers with that superior range. Another bunker being placed down, and that's just a horrible position for that bunker, as stalkers on the high ground would be able to shut it down. But a couple of stalkers have been destroyed. There are now enough Marines plus a Marauder, as more Marines are going to be coming in this one bunker. Going to get canceled in time. Hero will end up losing this one low ground Nexus. And the Marines should be able to shut down this Zealot rather easily. Yes, another Zealot has been destroyed. Army composition, Artist for You will be able to destroy this Nexus now. More reinforcements still coming in. Some SCVs joining in on the fight, wanting to make sure that they get destroyed as opposed to those Marines and those Marauders. And a lot of damage has been had, and you can see that we are going into Warp Gate. Warp Gate research is now completed. We should probably be seeing that come in just a moment. No sentries. So that's a little bit of a mistake. No sentries to try to block this at all, as the Stalkers and the Marines. Probes will have to come off the mineral line. Take a look at the harvester count, 25 to 15. The Stalkers are now, the probes are finally going to come in to engage. And now in come some more units as well. We are going to get one Stalker, no sentries at all. The Stalker's going to hold that high ground position there. Try to continue to use that range advantage. Another probe, but 2 probes now being destroyed. Both sides losing a lot of harvesters. Another gateway going to be repowered. That gateway underpowered right now as the Marines and the probes both sides battle in. There you go. Another gateway should be able to warp in a sentry or 2. Probes now absorbing a lot of that damage. In comes that sentry now, and that sentry is going to buy some critical time right there. So as soon as that sentry tries to place down a force field or places down that force field, that is going to be very good news for Heroes. So where is that sentry now? The sentry may be able to split up the forces. Where is it? Not quite sure. Are we going to see a sentry? Yes, a second sentry now coming in, and I believe Hero has drawn a line in the sand and now will be able to push back against all those Marines and the Marauders. The Marines and the Marauders, however, are researching stim. You can see that there is a lot of supply depots. 18 SCVs versus 22, so the damage was dealt, but Hero at least has enough to defend what will be a very large army, just because that one sentry on the high ground. Overall army size is about even. There's one force field, 2 force fields, as the Zealots are trying to finish this off here. Are we going to get another force field perhaps? No, not an additional force field, as another Zealot getting destroyed. Stalkers coming in to engage, or Marauders coming in to engage, finishing out the Stalkers and the sentries. The Marauders are still here. Probes need to come off the line, but I believe this will be a pretty even battle. A couple Marauders, more Stalkers now coming in to engage once more. Stalkers are getting focused down. The Marauders going to get destroyed here. Stalkers going to finish off those lower hit point Marines. And yes, Artist for You's army advantage is now nil. 22 probes versus 22 SCVs. There are 3 Marines, 3 Marauders versus 3 Stalkers. These Stalkers cannot deal that much damage. And I believe Hero is going to make the mistake. No, he's just going to simply try to get some map control, leave the Stalkers in the center of the map now, and now once again reestablish his Nexus. 24 probes to 24 probes as both players try to transition into a different strategy now. We'll see what's going to be happening. SCV is finally getting added onto the front once again. Is For You going to, or Artist going to once again try to do the same strategy? SCV is moving along the north side here. There is one probe. That probe will get sniped down rather easily. Marines, SCVs. One SCV going to try to pass by on the north side, but these 2 Stalkers are going to finish off this SCV with little to no issue. Down it goes. One Stalker down over here. So Hero has the map control with a much smaller mineral army, but he does have a gas superiority right now. We are finally getting that second Nexus replaced. The Forge now being built as well. He wants those weapons upgrade. Hero now getting up, 4 Warp Gates, 1 Forge, as he now tries to transition, and another large, massive army once again making their way through. Combat Shield now being researched as well, and Artist for You. Artist is going to have a very easy time of pushing up this ramp if these sentries are not perfect with those force fields. 5 sentries right now. It takes 3 force fields to wall off this location here. 1 Marine simply destroyed as it tries to walk up the ramp. Did he catch sight of all of those sentries? I'm not 100% sure, but more Stalkers are still being added. And it looks like Artist realized what he saw and said, okay, I need to reestablish. I cannot simply walk up that ramp without medevac support, and now pulling back. We are also getting into the Protoss ground armor upgrades though. So Protoss ground armors, if you guys have not heard my replays before and do not know, but ground armor upgrades very important against Marines. The Marine damage drastically goes from 6 down to 5, plus Guardian Shield down to 3, plus the natural armor that all gateway units have down to 1. So Stalkers, Sentries, and Zealots only taking 1 damage per attack, and after their shields have been depleted. Harvester count 35 compared to 41. Income tab shows that it is fairly even right now. You can see a lot of gateways or warp gates still being powered here, as stalkers are just trying to draw a line in the sand, and both players trying to regroup. Now, the benefit of medevac play is that you exactly have that dropship play. You can start putting pressure and just away from that front door ramp. We do see a probe over here, so it may warp in a nexus. We also see a robotics facility coming in to play as well, so we should be seeing observers as well. As the stalkers are suspecting some sort of dropship play, they are getting ready, but they are starting to spread themselves just a little bit thin. Something that is necessary, though, if you want to try to stop any sort of dropship play. We can see that the Marines, the Marauders, are now simply moving out across the field. No one activating these Onaga watchtowers, as Artist now once again retaking the center portion of the map. A stalker is on patrol here. There are a lot of sentries, a lot of army units on both sides. What will be happening as the Marines, one SCV trying to walk up that ramp? It looks like it will be able to and shut it down. One stalker easily, not destroyed though. Down to 5 hit points, and it wasn't destroyed. There is still one observer out in the center here, as we are also seeing this floating factory doing a little bit of a patrol. The units are starting to back off, and I believe Artist has missed his opportunity to attack, as a robotics bay now being warped in. The facility will be able to start training those Colossi. And as soon as we get Colossi with extended thermal lance ranges and level 1 weapons upgrade, it is going to deal a lot of splash damage to this really bio, Marine, Marauder, and Ghost armies. So the Ghosts are not going to be nearly as effective. They will be able to get some EMP shockwaves off, perhaps deplete some of that energy, or deplete the shields, as one Marine now runs into the center. We are going to see a group of stalkers over here, and now this medevac drop, the timing needs to be perfect. If Artist actually attacks the front and the back at the same time, no, this front door has too many zealots. A large number of zealots and sentries. A probe down over here as well. We'll see what's going to be happening. There are also ghosts though, so ghosts are very effective against zealots, as they deal 20 damage per attack. Stalkers now coming down the ramp over here. The medevac drop looks like it will be coming in. It does get spotted by this one pylon, and now in comes the drop. Marauders dropping in, zealots getting killed as they warp in, and this is going to be a problem, as a lot of units have been destroyed. We are going to see a large group of units. Are we going to get an EMP shockwave? No EMP shockwave onto any of those units at all. So a very nice movement there, as Artist was not able to get that much damage, or no economic damage, with his drop. And now the level 1 weapons upgrade, and Hero just playing brilliantly in defense right now. What is it? Sun Tzu's quote that says, in offense, the chance for victory; in defense, the chance to be invulnerable. And Hero has shown exactly that. I may be completely misquoting, but it still applies. It may not be Sun Tzu at all, but we are going to see the Marauders, Zealots, and Stalkers now finally move out and perhaps try to engage for victory. The 2 Colossi now forcing Artist to get some Vikings. So Vikings finally being added to this army. And we need to see somewhere within the realm of 6 to 12 Vikings in order to shut down the number of Colossi that are being produced right now. Another Colossi, 3 Colossi still being trained. We are getting into the level 2 weapons upgrade. Stalkers will have their hands full trying to shut down those Vikings, as the army combinations, both sides, 4,000 minerals versus almost 5,000 minerals now, as you can see a lot of medevacs in the air as well. So the medevacs have not been doing that much fighting. Very important point to note, which means that Artist will be able to get off a lot of stims. And now here comes the engagement. There is a nexus over here. The factory didn't spot this. That was kind of a cute play to walk that probe by, as this Colossi, the Colossi are getting into the level 2 weapons upgrades. Stalkers need to be in front, but those Vikings, 4 Vikings in the air with now level 1 ship upgrades and level 2 or 2 more Vikings being added. We can still see more medevacs, more mules being called into play. Desperately need to mine even more. in order to make sure that he can continue to train up more Marines. Both sides perhaps waiting to get into that 200 food count as one SCV walks straight into a large group of stalkers, and this is a problem for Artist now. Artist has no third base. He is establishing a command center here. He wants to establish this location here, but by establishing this location, he's going to be awfully close to his opponent, and that may end up being a problem. He's going to fly by this one stalker, though. This one drop, already low on hit points, going to take a lot of damage. This is absolutely bad news. One shot, two shot. Marines are finally being microed down, and it looks like, yes, the medevac was destroyed. Brilliantly done. Artist for you also going to lose that stalker, though, but that scouting stalker more than worth its weight. A low hit point stalker able to shut down a low hit point medevac and prevent a drop. Artist does spot this one drop over, or this one expansion over here now, and this is a bit of a problem for Artist. Artist, I'm not quite sure how he's going to really handle this. Perhaps he needs to move out another drop as well. As you can see, Artist for you finally transferring some SCVs over. SCVs being transferred over. The main bases are nearly mined out. Perhaps this should be upgraded to an orbital command or a planetary fortress, as now Vikings are still on the move, looking to keep track of and keeping all those Colossi at bay. Army now 7,300, almost a 10,000 resource army versus a 9,000 resource army approximately when you take a look into the gas. So this is going to be a very, very even fight, but the higher gas numbers normally favor Protoss, as they have more of those gas units, high Templars, and Colossi. The key question will be who will be able to get that damage first. Now, Stalkers are trying to push their way forward. There are Vikings here. The Vikings are being forced to pull back. There is one observer in the air. Can the Vikings get destroyed? The Vikings are going to get shot back a little bit in a quick blink, making sure to save all of those Stalkers there. We are currently sitting on 11. Oh, a quick scanner sweep destroying that one observer. We can see a lot of Vikings, and now more units finally being trained. Both sides sitting up that 200 food count. Both sides are starting to bank more and more money as a Zealot tries to do a run by, unable to do so, and it does get destroyed. Stalkers are now coming down into this position, sees a very large army pushing in. Are they going to be able to blink away in time? They should be able to, as the Marauders and the Marines do not want to engage. Both sides playing this yin-yang maneuver in the center portion of the map, trying to make sure that they have the perfect flank on their opponent, making sure that all of their units are going to be attacking at the same time. That is the key point in 200 versus 200 food battles. And if you can utilize and make sure that all of your units are attacking without taking damage, and that is the absolute best, as the Stalkers may try to engage from back over here. Ghosts are now coming in, feedback across multiple units. Colossi are engaging. Stalkers are now being forced to pull back. A lot of damage being dealt as the Colossi trying to run in here. Vikings going after the units. Massive force fields, massive amounts of damage coming in. And this battle looks like all the Colossi will get taken down. All the medevacs have been destroyed, as well as both sides. Vikings finally coming into that ground mode. Marauders are going to be finishing off the rest of the Stalkers, and it looks like ever so barely Artist has come out ahead with his units. Yeah, it looks like he has come out just barely ahead with his units, and now being forced to pull back as the reinforcements are now coming in. All of those gateway reinforcements, a very, very strong ability of Protoss, warping in units anywhere into the battlefield as SCVs coming off the mineral line in order to repair these medevacs. Something that I think a lot of Terran players don't do enough of. It would actually make more sense if these SCVs were on auto repair, as they desperately need to repair more and more of these units. Are they on auto repair? Yes, they are finally on auto repair and going to repair all of these low hit point medevacs. These medevacs worth their weight, as they are able to keep a bio army up and running for a very long time. Hero now with these Zealots knows that his opponent does not have that many expansions, and now going to try to engage in, oh, a missile turret may get destroyed. Yes, it does get destroyed, but not before destroying one of Observer first. So a little bit of an overzealous Observer running straight into that missile turret, and perhaps he wanted to keep track, keep sight. SCVs now back to mining once again, and you can see Artist. I think there was an accidental stim a little bit earlier, but all of these medevacs still very much on top of their energy, almost up to maximum energy, as one Stalker holding off this army, now being forced to blink back there. One Marine trying to retake that center portion as we are going into level 3 weapons upgrade. High Templars, Zealots now being added, Immortals being... sorry, I thought I saw an Immortal, no, an Archon now being added. Now, the only problem with Archon is that the Archon doesn't scale well with most Protoss upgrades. Most Protoss players get weapons and armor upgrades and not those shield upgrades. So essentially, these Marines are dealing 50% more damage as just because it is not dealing any damage against that all-important or shield upgrades that those Archons do have. Warp Prism now being added as well, so Hero going into Warp Prism play may perhaps be able to get some harassment off over here. There is one Zealot, and the Zealot now going to be fighting off against a bunch of SCVs. In the center portion over here, Stalkers are trying to engage. They perhaps need to blink away. Yes, able to blink back. Zealots are going to try to engage. Colossi now pushing in as well. Archons in the middle of this army here, and what is going to be happening? Who is going to be able to come out ahead? Massive EMP shockwaves, and now Vikings completely destroying all of those units there. And now are the Vikings perhaps going to go into ground mode? No, they are not in ground mode, so that is a problem. If they were on ground mode, they would have done a lot more damage, and I think Artist for You now trying to fight back with just a sheer number of mass Marines and Marauders fighting off against the rest of these units here. Zealots running straight into the SCV mineral line, but not dealing that much damage. But this one Zealot was able to get off a decent number of kills as the Planetary Fortress is now completed. 5 kills, so a couple Zealots were destroyed, but a lot of worker kills already. 35 to 13. Taking a look at the harvester count, 75 to 33. So it will be much easier now for Hero to reestablish another base here at the center portion of the map. And I think the game is slowly tipping in favor of Hero, as you are going to see. Artist for You, he has a lot of units, but he's not going to be able to replace. And as long as Hero does some very smart army trading, he's going to come out ahead, and it looks like he has been doing that already. A Warp Prism trying to come in, trying to drop in some units, but there is one missile turret. This expansion over here doesn't have much, so perhaps a drop into the main base in order to hit production may be enough. SCVs trying to run away. So many SCVs getting destroyed. High Templars, and wow, a massive amount of damage has been dealt. This one Observer, or one Warp Prism now trying to come down over here, but the Vikings are going to find this one, and now in comes some more High Templars trying to side storm even further, now merging into an Archon. I believe the Marauders will be able to finish that off, as there are no shield upgrades. The Archon getting absolutely destroyed there. Army compositions. We can see what Artist and Hero do not know. Hero is currently behind, and it really feels like my computer is lagging right now for some reason. Anyways, Zealots and Stalkers are now trying to push their way in. It looks like they're going to be pushing into this Planetary Fortress. SCVs trying to come off the mineral line, or coming off the mineral line. An Immortal will also be added as well, and I believe this Planetary Fortress will fall. There it goes. Massive number of Stalkers are very low on hit points. The Marines and the Marauders, and now Hero going to try to engage. There are a lot of Archons here, massive number of EMPs coming in, and these Archons are cleaned up. Taking a look at the bank, though, you can see now Hero should be able to warp in many more units. There are a lot of Zealots. There's another drop happening over here, a Colossus drop, followed by a massive number of warp-ins. And this is going to be just absolutely funny here. Will the Colossi be able to get multiple number of kills? It doesn't look like any Stalkers were warped in behind this, so those Vikings able to shut this down rather easily. So it was a cute drop play, but it didn't really deal that much damage at all. Now lifting off his natural expansion orbital command into this location here, you can see the income dangerously low for Artist, as the army, both sides, you can see now Artist has the much larger army, but he hasn't been able to engage at all, and that is the problem. Anytime he tries to engage, he does lose a lot of his army, and he will not be able to replace it. So far, Hero has not been doing good trades with his army just quite yet. 160 food versus 130. Most of that is in terms of probes versus SCVs. There is a 50 food count difference. That means that there's a 20 food count difference in terms of army, as we are now perhaps going to see these Marauders, which are 3-1, finally make another move. Protoss shield upgrades, level 2 now being researched. As you can see, so much happening inside the base here. Massive number of barracks, but is it going to be enough? Artist for You needs to deal damage, and he needs to make it count. As we can see, a lot of Immortals now being trained, but this one pylon may get shut down here. One pylon is going to get destroyed. You can see Immortals and Archons now pushing in once again. EMP shockwaves, Immortals losing all of their shields already. High Templars now bringing up the rear, massive more Side Storm, and wow, Artist for You losing and taking a lot of damage here. and the Vikings are now landing. Who is coming out ahead? It's still so close to call, and Artist for You says GG. So a very close game here on Shakuras Plateau. You can see how close the damage was on both sides, and even right at this point, it almost looks like Artist has a large enough army to fight back. It really is the overall economy that is the issue there. Even though these robotics facilities had trained up a couple of mortals and they were destroyed, just the sheer macro power of Protoss running off of 5 bases compared to Terran running off of 4. Taking a look at the losses, Hero had lost more units, so he wasn't as economical with his units, but still able to come off with the victory. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.